Hey there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. I'm doing a weird accent again. In this episode, we're gonna do a top 10 CSS tricks that you probably didn't know. Now, I know there's gonna be that one guy in the comment that's gonna be like, I knew all of these tricks, what you mean? I knew these from the 90s before CSS3, when Michael Jackson was in his prime, Shimona, he was the top of the world. It's okay, congratulations for you, Mr. 90s boy. But for the rest of us, let's take a look at these cool tricks. Now, before we get going, I actually want to announce that I'm releasing the Creative HTML and CSS course next Wednesday. So it's coming out on December the 4th, so mark your calendars. And yeah, cannot wait. And I also looked at all of the comments. I know a lot of people were like, Ed, please make this accessible for everybody because not everybody can pay $60 or a premium price on these courses. So I did. The course is gonna be, I went as low as I could. It's gonna be $20 and you're gonna get 12 plus hours of content with projects and everything. So that's gonna be it. Also, if you're a Patreon, if you're a medium Patreon member, I'm gonna give you 25% off. And if you're a pro member, I'm gonna give you 50% off. So you can get it as low as $10. If you've been at least a month of Patreon member, you're gonna get that discount. So just shoot me a message for that. But I'm super excited. It took a long time. I did 20 hours per day of filming and all of those good stuff. I might smile right now, but I'm actually in pain. Oh, it's been a nightmare. Okay, let's get going. Here is trick number 1, and I see a lot of people still struggle with this, and here's a workaround. So sometimes you might have a button on the screen. I don't have anything. I have a button. Let me save this and go back here. You might have a button on the screen or anything, a text or something you might want to fade out nicely, either in JavaScript or CSS. However, you're gonna have a small little problem. When you do opacity from 1 to 0, this text or this button is still gonna be clickable. So let me kind of show you. If I go all the way down here and I get that button and I just do, let's do a keyframe here. So I'm gonna say keyframes and I'm gonna say from and to. So I wanna basically animate from opacity 1 to opacity 0. So we would go here, we would say, hey, I want to go from opacity 1 all the way to opacity 0. Okay, simple, clear enough. And then we can add this animation. We can say, oh, we need to give it a name. Ed, oh my goodness, why you do this? We can do fade, okay, ooh, edgy. Okay, so fade, 1 second ease, and I want to add forwards because I want to remain at the last state here. Okay, hit save, let's take a look. So when we refresh, this fades out. However, as you can see, if I hover my mouse over it, we can still click it. So this is still clickable. So if I do the same thing here with text, I'm gonna say P, lorem 20, and hit tab, save, and I'm also gonna add it on the P tag. So let's add P, hit save, let's take a look. Let's refresh, so we have the text there, but as you can see, that thing still appears there, and I can grab it. Okay, paste. See, I can still grab it, copy, paste this, so this button still works. So this is not okay. Opacity, it still just hides it from the screen, but it doesn't get rid of the functionality. Okay, so it's still there. We just kind of make it invisible. So then you might be like, oh, we can do display none, right? That completely gets rid of the element, and that is correct. So if I go to the button and I just add a display of none, that completely gets rid of the button. However, if I want to animate this thing, then oh no, trouble has been to us. Display, so I want to go from display block all the way to display none. Display none. And if you try to do this in JavaScript, so if we take a look here, nothing happens, it doesn't work. And if you try to do this in JavaScript, it's just gonna instantly disappear, okay? You cannot transition from display block or inline to nothing, okay? It doesn't work. So here's how can we fade this out, animate it out, and also get rid of the clickability of the button. Well, what we can do is keep this, and here we can go back to that opacity 0, 1, from 1 to opacity 0. So I can copy this over, paste it down here, and I can change this to 0. And what I can do is use something called pointer events. So if I add pointer events, as you can see, that says specifies under what circumstance a given element can be target element for a pointer event. That's too complicated for my mind. All it means is that, hey, I can get rid of this clickability. So if I leave pointer events to all, and here I can add pointer events none, hit save, this is basically gonna be like, okay, this is clickable, and here, basically you cannot do anything with that element. You cannot click it, you cannot drag it, nothing. So we just add opacity, pointer events none, and take a look, we cannot click and we cannot see it as well. Another trick is, well, not really a trick, but people are kind of unfamiliar with display block and inline. So what's the difference between those? So let me quickly show you. A H1 here, hello, this is gonna be a block level element. So if we take a look, let me actually get rid of the other properties that I kind of added here. So let me just get rid of everything, hit save. As you can see, what happens when you add display block is that element is gonna take up the whole width of its available space, like this, okay? So vertically, horizontally, I meant, is gonna take up all the space. Now, if we add this to a div, as you can see here, and I grab that div and give it maybe a height of, not height, a width of 50%, like this, and a background of light blue. Now, if we take a look here, now the div is 50%, so basically the element that lies inside the div is gonna take up the size of the div. So depending on where that element is, so the H1 right now is in the div, it's gonna take up the size of the parent. So in this case, 50%. Okay, so it's always gonna stretch all the way of whatever container it is in. So that's the first thing that you should know about display block. The second thing you should know is if you add multiple things here, let me add some paragraph, maybe a H2. So these are all block level elements. It always drops to a new line. So as you can see, boom, we go down here. This takes up the whole space. So the next text that you add also drops on a new line. Another thing that's important is that you can change the height of these. So I can add the height of this, height, let's do 10 rem, hit save. All right, why are you not updating? I don't have a H2, do I? Well, I do on the last one. Let's do it on the H1. H1, as you can see, so we can add a height to this, and we can also add margins, so we don't have any issues. Margins, paddings, no issues. 10 rem, margin as well. Boom. As you can see, we have it up there, left and right. All right, let me get rid of this div because it makes things look complicated. So let me just add the H1. Boom, as you can see, it added the margins, left, right, top, and bottom. So what you should also know about display block is that you can mess around with the width, you can mess around with the height, and you can mess around with the margins and paddings as well. Okay, now the difference between this and a inline, so an inline example would be an A tag. So if I add an A tag here, I'm gonna say home, and I'm gonna just copy this multiple times down here. As you can see, an inline doesn't stretch all the way of the available space. It always just kind of takes up the size of its text that you have in here. So if I have home in there, or I add something more, it's just gonna be the size of whatever you have in here, like that. Okay, so it doesn't stretch all the way, it just takes up the width of the available, of whatever the text size is. It always goes next to each other like this, horizontally. And the important thing here is that you cannot add a height to it. So if I add an A tag and change the height to 10 rem, hit save. If we take a look now, oh no, the height didn't change. So you cannot add a height to it. Let's try it with a width. Width, 20 rem. Hit save. Oh no. So you cannot add a height, you cannot add a width. You can add a margin and padding, but take a look at what happens. Margin 10 rem. Take a look what happens. It actually only respects the left and right side of the margin. It doesn't care about the top part. So we added margin 10 here, which should take up a lot of space here after this H2 or whatever this is. So if I add 30 or something large like this, as you can see, this still doesn't go down a lot. It still stays up here. So it just works in a horizontal fashion, okay? And the same goes with the padding. So if I change this to padding and we add 10, all right, kind of the same thing. So these are the two important things when it comes to display line and block. And don't get me wrong, we can also change the behavior. So maybe I want the H1 here to have the same behavior. I can just go here and add a display inline. So So you can still change the behavior of all of these elements. Same thing to the A tag. I can always go here and do display block. Hit save and take a look. Now we have the margins and paddings up here as well. Here's another cool one that a lot of people don't know. We can do a div here, so a simple div, and I'll just add some text in this one. So p lorem 5, hit save. So if I grab this div and I'll just change the height and width of it for now. Let's do a width of 80% and I'll do a height of 80, doesn't matter, 100 VH, that's fine. Okay, so let's also add a background to this. So background, light blue. All right, so here is my container, my div. So we know how we can do the text align here to the center. And we can just go here and we can add a text align and center. Hit save, and now the text is in the center. But how do we align the div here in the center? So that's one thing that a lot of people still don't know. Now you can hack this, so if you add this in another container, you can do display flex and all the, oh, I just saw I was down here. Haha, I'm back up. You know, you can add display flex and center it. So that's one way, but if you want a quick way, you can center this by just adding margin auto. So you can add margin auto, and that's automatically going to drop it in the middle, and it's going to leave the available space on the left and on the right side. Okay, now sometimes you might also want to just kind of just put some space here on the left. Maybe you just want some space on the left, but you want this to stretch all the way. So if you want all the space on the left or all the space on the right, you can just add margin 0, 0, 0, and auto. So now the right side is going to take up, and only on the left side it's going to be the empty space. And you can change this behavior again. So we can count from top, left, so we can change this from here to here, and we can add 0 here, and now it's going to switch around. Okay, so this is a quick way you can center divs. Now also another quick tip, if you want to center this text down here without adding display flex and all of those good jazz, what you can do is basically give the same height, the height that you have on the div, to the line height. So I can grab the line height and I can do 100 VH, and that's perfectly going to center my text in the middle. Here's a cool trick that I think a lot of people don't know. I just added a p tag here with a lorem of 100. Nobody done this before. You can look it up on the internet. I'm the first one. We can go to the style sheet. So what's the normal behavior? If we highlight this text, as you can see, it has that background, that blue background, and the text color is white. What if I want to change that? We can. Yeah, we can. Check this out. I can grab the p tag here and I can add a double colon and say selection like this. Take a look. If I change the background color to, let me grab a nice color here. Let's do a purplish, like that. Hit save, take a look. Now I change that behavior. And I can also do it to the text. Color, white. Hit save, take a look. We have changed the background color and the color of the text when we highlight. Another quick and short one, sometimes you want to make the first text big, like the L. So let's go back here, and the way you can do that is you can say P, and then you can add a colon again like this, and you can say first letter, and you can mess around with this. So I can increase the font size of this to something like 2 rem, add a font weight of bold, and we can change the font family to Mr. Sheriff himself from Red Dead Redemption. And take a look, we have a big L. Hey, lovely. Like this video, it's a big L. Check this out. If I grab this div, I'll just have this div with some text in here, and I'll add another anchor tag, and I'll add a ID here and say maybe the gallery. Maybe I have some pictures down here, so I'll add another div here. Let's just add a section here, and I'm gonna say hello like this, and here I'm gonna give it an ID of gallery. Okay, so what this is gonna do is it's gonna jump down here. So where's my anchor tag? Let me add some text to it. Travel down here, save. So if I click, it's gonna travel down here, but there's not enough space, so let me give some space to that div. Div, height 100 VH, and then let's give it to the section, that's fine. Okay, so now it's down here, okay? Actually, let me give it to that as well. Comma, section, save. Okay, so when I click, boom, it jumps down here, but that doesn't look good. Who likes that? So what we can do is go up here and go to the HTML and add a scroll behavior of smooth, and that's smoothly gonna transition the clicking down here. So I should warn you that this doesn't work in all the browsers. It does work on the major ones like Firefox, Chrome, even Edge, if you believe it, Microsoft Edge, and Opera. And if it doesn't work, well, the behavior is going to be basically the normal one anyway, so you're not really losing anything. But you don't need any JavaScript anymore, so this is really, really cool. And let's be honest, Internet Explorer can go to the trash can. We can make a super quick dark mode. So what I want to do is, as you can see, we just have some black text on some white background, and we have this A tag. Now what I want to show you is I'm actually going to change this A tag a bit. I'm going to give it a color. So maybe we have a font size. Now this is something extremely big, but I kind of want to emphasize so this is easy to see. All right. So if I want to change this color, let's say maybe we have a dark bluish color on our website like this. Okay, so dark blue, or let's do pink like that. Okay, so we have a dark pink, so this looks good. I don't like it. Let's change it again. I want a green one. Okay, so the first step to making this in dark mode is to actually just go and grab the HTML body. So HTML, what we can do is do a background of black. Okay, perfect, lovely. We cannot see anything. Ed, why you do this? What we can do is actually go to the filter, and we can use something called invert. And what this is going to do is going to take all the dark things on your website, like the text and the anchor text, and it's going to flip it over. So if we add 0 here, this is going to be default, nothing is going to happen. But if we switch it to 1, everything is going to be flipped, and now all your darks become white. And basically even this one, as you can see, has flipped from the dark to the lighter color. But here's the thing though, we had green here, and now this switched to kind of the purplish color. So basically the color flipped as well, not only the lightness, the brightness and the darkness, but the color also shifted. So if we want to bring this back to its green color, what we can do is also add something called, we can also add a hue rotate, and rotate this by 180 degrees. And now if we save, you're gonna see that we still have that green color, but it just changed it to a lighter green color. So now it's very cool because we can just add these two. We can maybe create a class of dark mode here or something, and I can change these colors, kind of make my site look the way I want. Maybe I want this reddish color, save, and as you can see in dark mode, it also retains that. Next up, we are gonna take a look at changing font sizes super quickly. So one tip there is to, rather than working with pixels, which is a fixed amount of pixels, okay, we can work with rem. However, you might notice that that might be a bit tricky. So if we say A, and we can set this, let's do maybe H1, what else do we have on this page? Font size, we set 2 rem, well, the 1 rem basically equals 16 pixels. So this is a bit kind of hard to calculate. So maybe I add it on the paragraph. Let's do font size of, so how much is 16? Maybe I want this to be 18 pixels. I have to calculate, and I'm not good at that. So wouldn't it be nice if I could just add 1.8 rem and hit save, and I know that's basically 18 pixels? Yes, it would. I'm actually zoomed in here. Let me zoom out. So you can change that. You can go to the HTML body here, HTML element, and you can change the font size of it like this, font size to 62.5%. And what this means is that we basically change the HTML font size to 10 pixels. So basically when you add 2 rem here, this is gonna mean that it's 20 pixels, and this is 1.8 pixels. Now the benefit of doing this is we also have accessibility. So if a user ever wants to change the font size, he can go and basically in the options here, and I can change the size to 24, and this is gonna adapt, as you can see, just like that. So it's working perfectly. 16, and the text changes as well. So there we go. So the user has control. When you use pixels, the user doesn't have any control over. The other awesome thing is that I can just add this media query here, and I can say, hey, when my max width is 700 pixels, I can just change the HTML font size here. So everything basically adapts. So if I go smaller screen here, basically after I go to the 700, boom, the font size is going to automatically change on all my elements. So this is a super easy way that you can add font sizes in media queries. Another quick thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can actually stack up box shadows and animations together. So I'll just grab this div and I'll add a box shadow of, let's say, 10 pixel. Let's say, what is this? X. Let's do 0 pixels, 10 pixels, and 20 pixels. Let's do 10 again. Let's do RGBA, and we'll say 0, 0. Oh my god, VS Code, why you do this to me? And 0.5. So this is not that intense. And hit save. Okay, so as you can see, we have that box shadow down here. Oh, that looks ugly. Let's add 10 pixels here and maybe change this to something lower. Okay, so we have that one. What if I want to add multiple? Maybe I want this to be strong here, but I want another one that's kind of faded. So we can actually combine them together by just adding a comma, and then I can copy this again. So I can stack another one. Maybe this one is going to be stretching like 40 pixels down, and the blur is going to be insane, like 40 and 0.1. If I hit save, now as you can see, I have this one intense one, but I also have another one that's kind of faded out here. Let me actually increase this so you can kind of see. As you can see, we have two now, one there and one that's kind of going all the way down here. And the same works with animation. So if you want to add an animation and you have a keyframe, you can do one here, so fade 1 second, ease, and then you can add a comma and you can stack another one together. And lastly, what I want to show you is, let's grab this H1, which I don't have, so let's get rid of everything in here. And this one, and we have one. I lied to myself, we have this H1 down here. Let's go here, we have this hello. So let's grab that one, let's go back here, is how can we add gradient to a text? So I'm gonna say H1, I'm just gonna increase the font size of this to like 4 rem, so we can see it better, okay? Let's say hello boy, okay? There we go, so this is what we have. So how can we add a gradient to this? Well, what we can do is we can say background and add a linear gradient to the background, because if you try to do it on the color, it's not gonna work. So let me do one here. So we add the background here, which is perfect. And what I want to do is kind of clip this background to the text. So the only position that this background is going to show up is behind this text. So the way you can do that is you can add this WebKit background clip text. So background clip, and you say text. So basically you're clipping the background to the text. It's going to be behind it. So now you cannot see anything. So now what we want to do is kind of show what's behind this text. And the way you can do that is you can say again WebKit like this, WebKit text fill color like this, and then you can say transparent, and when you hit save, now it shows up. All right, so these three properties is what you need. Add the background clip to the text, and then finally the text fill color is gonna be transparent. So you're basically getting rid of that black on the text, and now only the background remains. Okay, now there's still a problem with this. As you can see, we cannot see the whole, whatever color this is, the bluish color, right? We cannot really see it. Why is that happening? Well, if we press F12 and we check, well, oh, this is display block. And what it means is that the background goes all the way from left to right here. So it stretches all the way, which makes this hard to, well, the gradient goes all the way here. So wouldn't it be nice if we could change the width so it takes up the size of the text? How can we do that? Oh, I know. Well, we can say display inline and hit save. And now take a look. This is gorgeous. Now we have the blue color as well, because inline takes up the size of the actual text or element. So there we go. Those are the top 10 tricks, CSS tricks. Hope you enjoyed this one. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed these small little tricks. Wait a minute, did you say trick? You haven't done a magic trick, did you? This trick is called the train. The nose is leaving the train station. That's weird. I need to go to the doctor. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one on Saturday, where we will learn how to create train engines using JavaScript. See you then.